This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers Podcast
with Tony Bruschi.
That indeed it is, and we are talking today with Phil Waters, retired detective and president CEO of Kindred Spirits Investigations and Security. With the Gonzalez family wanting to have the gag order lifted, there's another hearing set for about a month from now to look at that. Is this something that is a good idea to have this gag order lifted from your perspective of being a detective, being in law enforcement, and seeing many cases kind of run the gamut? I know this family really, they've been vocal and they want to speak and they want to say their part, but are they going about it the right way?
Well, from the beginning, we can all empathize with their situation, but Steve Goncalves, he's been, his attorneys and that family, in my view, have been perhaps much too vocal. I think getting out there in front of these cameras and microphones and just saying whatever happens to be on their mind at the time, not having a full grasp of the big picture. I don't think it served the investigation well, and I don't think it's going to serve the hearing, or the trial in the future if that occurs. I just, like I said, I kind of I feel for them, and certainly, but I think there's just a time when it's better to keep mouths closed and let the process work.
Sure. And I can understand that that's got to be hard to do as a father if you were in that situation. I should say I don't understand because I've never been in that situation. But if you try and put yourself there, everybody grieves differently. Everybody's going to have different ways of expressing that. And sometimes it is lashing out. Sometimes it is really saying your part, maybe when it could end up affecting you adversely or the case itself. How could that affect the case adversely, where this is not going to be a good thing if that is lifted, and if the Gonzalez family is able to start doing interviews again and start expressing their thoughts, their feelings on all of this? How does that truly affect the prosecution against Kohberger? Well,
I think the concern now is that we don't want to nullify a jury. Sorry about that. It's a well-known case, and I just think there's a lot of moving parts in this thing. You've got the defense attorneys that popped up last week and, talking about this other witness that was there at the scene, and somehow this person has some sort of exculpatory evidence. I can't imagine what in the world that would be.
Yeah.
Given the direct evidence that we know they have, given the things that were cited in the search warrants and so forth, the affidavits. When that came out, my thought was, well, what happened to the gag order? I mean, why do we have defense attorneys saying they're gonna subpoena this witness, and this witness has exculpatory evidence and so forth and so on? And I think that's, I guess it remains to be seen at this point. I think that the witness has agreed to speak with them. Without the bothering with a subpoena, but I just I don't know if that's a Hail Mary from the defense. I mean, this hearing that they're going to have, I think it's in June.
Yeah,
is to determine, to determine pre-trial hearing to determine if there's enough probable cause there to move forward with the trial, enough evidence, and I would think from what we've seen. From what we know, I don't think there's going to be any particular issue. I just can't imagine that one witness's testimony is going to make, because exculpatory means that he's not guilty, and I think at this point in time, it sounds like the defense are trying to perhaps get the prosecution to reveal more, because they don't have to reveal their entire case; they only have to reveal enough to move it forward. So, there's a lot of, again, with this particular case, there are a lot of moving parts, and people are getting emotionally attached to it one way or the other. So I think it's, at this point, I just think it's best that people keep their heads. I know that I think the defense, it's either the defense or the media, they're challenging the gag order.
Yeah, the media is challenging that as well. As well as the Gonzalez. And I mean, I understand it from the media perspective. The media wants as much information as they can get and talk about.
Well, they always do.
Of course.
Yeah, they always.
But the fact of Steve and the family wanting that lifted as well is what's interesting. Let's talk about that exculpatory evidence that we really have no idea what it is. Is this a strategy sometimes by a defense to go say something very, I guess, kind of shocking in this case, stating that this surviving witness has exculpatory evidence? It went from being a subpoena all the way down to, okay, we'll meet you in Nevada and we'll just have an interview instead. I mean, one, a very bold move. The other, and it's not, it's just like, we'll meet at the Holiday Inn and talk. It's not a deposition. It's nothing like that. Is that what exactly you said earlier? So let's say something really bold. Let's say something really shocking so that maybe the prosecution tips their hand a little bit to go, oh, yeah, you think you have something? Look at this. You can't beat that. But again, there's the gag order in place as well. And again, also it is bizarre, like you said, that they're even saying these things out loud with the gag order in place. Why are we even aware that they tried to subpoena this witness and that they're going to have this interview? Wouldn't that all fall under the gag order as well?
I would think so. When I heard it, I thought to myself, well, what's the judge doing? But I didn't see anywhere where there was really a response from the judge. Mm-hmm. And I think some of this stuff, and I may have read something about they were waiting to talk about that based on this media cry to have the gag order lifted. So, the problem is with these types of cases, the media, look, bless their hearts, they're out there trying to get ratings and trying to get check marks on videos and whatever they're posting.
Sure.
And that does not serve the justice system well. And it causes these cases, especially these high profile cases, to get tried in the public arena. And that's just not the way the system works. So again, I go back to the problems with nullifying a jury. I think from the beginning, I think the gag order was wise on the part of the judge, and I hope she wins the argument at the end of the day.
This is an examination of the hidden human condition.
This is the Hidden Killers podcast
With Tony Bruschi.
Bill Waters, retired detective and president and CEO of Kindred Spirits Investigations and Security. Thank you so much for your insight as we talk about the case against Bryan Kohberger and getting closer and closer to seeing court on that. Hard to believe we're almost halfway through the year. Be sure to press subscribe wherever you're downloading podcasts so you don't miss any breaking updates or discussions in the cases that we're following for you right here. I'm Tony Bruschi. Stay with us.